Hello children, let us continue with the story The Gorilla in the Guest Room written by Gerald Durrell. Within 12 months, Pongo had almost doubled his size and I felt it was now time to try by fair means or foul to obtain a mate for him. So within 12 months, Pongo was grown up double the size and Gerald thought that it was the right time for him to get a mate for him. Unless they lack finances, I have no use for zoos that acquire animals purely for exhibition and make no effort to provide them with a mate. This applies particularly to the apes. So, this is the ideology of Gerald, that the zoos are useless if they just get the animals to exhibit them and they don't make any effort, especially for the apes, to get mates for them, unless only if they have lack of finances. The problem does not arise while they are young, for they accept the human beings around them as their adopted, if slightly eccentric family. Eccentric means not a normal family. So here he says that till the time the apes are small, they are young, it does not make a difference. But as soon as they grow up, it becomes a problem, because while they are young, they accept the human beings as a little different, a little abnormal kind of a family. Then comes the time when they are so powerful that you do not, if you have any intelligence, treat them in the same intimate way. Then when they grow up in size, then they become so powerful that if you are intelligent, if you are prudent enough, you will not treat them in the same manner as you did before. You cannot be as intimate as you were with them before. When a gorilla or chimpanzee or an orangutan at the age of 3 or 4 pulls your legs from under you or jumps from a considerable height onto the back of your neck, it tests your stamina to the full and is done because you are the only companion with whom he can play. So, if at the age of 3 or 4 the chimpanzee plays with you, pulls your legs from under you or jumps at you from a height, it's going to have a toll on your health. Either you will break your neck or your legs, because it's used to playing with you in this manner, because it does not know any other companion with whom he can play. If he is left on his own and is a nice natured ape, he will try to play the same games with you when he was 11 or 12. This means a broken leg or a broken neck. So, if the nature of that ape is good, very nice natured, good natured, happy, cheerful ape, then he will try to continue playing the same games with you when he is even 11 or 12 years old. And you can imagine an ape of 11 or 12 years old, he is going to be very gigantic, very powerful and double the size. So, if it plays the same games with you, you will end up having a broken leg or a broken neck, and that's very dangerous. So, if this friendly, exuberant animal is kept on his own and deprived of both the company of his own kind and that of human beings, you can hardly be surprised if he turns into a morose and melancholy creature. Morose means, over here, morose means gloomy, and melancholy also means sad. Now, exuberant animal, here this exuberant animal means an animal full of joy. So, this friendly, this joyful animal, if he is kept on his own, kept alone, he does not get the company of the other apes like him, or he's even deprived of the company of the human beings, he is going to turn into a very glum faced, morose creature. Not wanting to see Pongo degenerate into one of those magnificent but sad and lonely anthropoids that I have seen in many zoos, including some that have had ample resources for providing a mate. He says he did not want that thing to happen with Pongo, that is, to degenerate means to decline into those magnificent, huge, good looking apes, that is anthropoids, that is a primate apes, very lonely although looking magnificent, huge and very powerful anthropoids, as he has seen in many zoos, and many of the zoos, they had enough resources to provide a mate for that ape. I thought the time had come to try to procure a wife for Pongo, even though I knew that our funds would probably not stretch so far. So he realized that this is the right time to get a mate for Pongo, but he knew that it's going to be difficult to arrange the money. I telephoned the dealer from whom we had gotten Pongo and asked him about the possibilities of obtaining a female gorilla. He told me he had just been offered one a year or so younger than Pongo. But owing to the political situation in Africa, the price had increased and he was asking £1,500. So immediately, as soon as the thought came to his mind, he thought that he'll talk to the animal dealer from whom he had got Pongo. And he asked about a female gorilla, and it was a sheer luck that the animal dealer told him that he was offered a female gorilla about a year or so younger than Pongo. But because of the situation in Africa, now it was not £1,200, but he asked for £1,500. There followed 2 days of soul searching. I knew we could not afford that amount of money in a lump sum, and we might be able to do it if it was spread over a period. So he tried hunting for 2 days a person who would hunting for a person who would be interested in buying Pongo, but in buying the female gorilla, and then he realized that he cannot afford this lump sum, that whole lump sum in £1,500 together. So they could afford it if it was spread, the payment was spread over a period of time. Then once again I telephoned the dealer and asked him whether he would consider letting us have the animal on installment terms. So finally once again he called the animal dealer and asked him whether he would give him the female gorilla on installments. To his credit and to my relief, he agreed and said that his representative would bring her over to Jersey in a week's time. So it was a real sheer luck for Gerald that the animal dealer, he agreed to this settlement, that is to pay money for the female gorilla on installments, and said that his representative would hand over the female gorilla to him in Jersey within a week or so. So everyone was really excited. The whole zoo waited for that day with bated breath. So everyone was really excited, and for the day when she would arrive with bated breath. Bated breath means really very, very anxious. I, prompted by a slightly acrimonious conversation with my bank manager, spent the week by having a collecting box made, over which hung the notice, "We have bought Nandi on the installment plan. Please help us to keep up the installments." So he was inspired by an acrimonious conversation. Acrimonious means very angry and bitter conversation with his bank manager, and he spent a whole week making a collecting box in which he would collect the money for buying a Nandi. That is, Nandi is the name given to the female gorilla, and he hung a notice over there that "We have bought Nandi on installment plan. Please make your contributions to help us to keep up the installments." So Nandi arrived crouched in a crate that I would have considered small for a squirrel. So finally she arrived after a week in a small crate which was as small as for a crate for a small squirrel. She, like Pongo, appeared to be in perfect condition. Her fur was glossy, that is, she was a perfectly healthy female gorilla. Her fur was very glossy, means shiny. She was fat and the skin had the sheen like satin. Sheen means also it had a gleam, the shine just like the cotton, like the cloth satin. But at first sight of her, it was her eyes that impressed me most. So when he took a first look at Nandi, the thing that really struck him were the eyes of Nandi. Pongo's eyes, as I have said, were small and deep set, calculating and full of humor. So now the comparison between the eyes of the two. And Pongo's eyes were very small, they were very small and deep set into the sockets, very calculating, very cunning, and also at the same time full of humor. And Nandi's eyes were big and lustrous. Lustrous means shining, very big. And when she looked sideways, she showed the whites of them. But they were frightened eyes that did not look at you squarely. Squarely means directly. They were beautiful, big, lustrous eyes, but the very frightened eyes. She would never ever look at you directly. They were the eyes of an animal that had little experience of human beings, but even that limited experience had given her no reason to trust or respect them. So if you looked at her eyes, you would feel that she has had very little interaction with the human beings, and whatever little interaction she has had, it was not a good experience. So she did not have any reason to either trust the human beings or respect them. When we released her from a cage, I could see the reason right across the top of her skull was a scar which must have measured 6 to or 7 inches in length. Now Gerald understood the reason why her eyes were frightened and why was she so antisocial towards human beings, because as soon as she was released from a cage, Gerald saw that right on her skull there was a scar, a mark of an old wound which measured about 6 to 7 inches in length. Obviously, when she was being caught, some over enthusiastic and intrepid human being, intrepid means a fearless human being, had given her a blow with a machete which had split her scalp like a razor slash. Now, machete, children, it is a broad, heavy knife. So, some fearless and over enthusiastic human being, while trying to catch her, had given her that split, that slash across her scalp with a machete. It must have been a glancing blow, for her skull would have been split into two. So, it was not a very deep cut. Otherwise, if it had been a very deep cut, her skull would have split into two. With such an introduction to the human race, you could hardly blame Nandi for being a little antisocial. Because of this kind of introduction to the human beings, she turned into this antisocial person that she was. This great slash was now completely healed, and there was only the long white scar to be seen through the hair of her head, which reminded me of the curious, imitative and quite unnecessary partings that so many Africans carve on in the hair with the aid of a razor. So that slash on her head, that scar, it had totally healed up, but it had healed up, only a white scar was left, and it reminded him of the African people who shave off their head and make partings on their scalp with the help of a razor. He could not understand why they did this. We kept Nandi in a separate cage for 24 hours so that she would settle down. The cage was next to Pongo's to enable her to see her future husband, but she evinced as little interest in him as she evinced in us. So they kept Nandi in a separate cage for 24 hours so that she could get used to that. Her cage was just next to Pongo so that she would get used to her future husband. But she evinced. Evinced means showed. She showed very little interest in him as she showed in him. If you tried to talk to her and look directly at her face, her eyes would slide from side to side, meeting yours only for a sufficient length of time to judge what your next action might be. So they were frightened eyes. She would never look directly into the eyes, and if you talked to her directly, she would look at your face for some time and then start sliding her eyes from side to side and just catch your eyes for a brief moment to know exactly what your next action might be. Eventually deciding that the wire between herself and us rendered us comparatively harmless and preferring not to look at us, she turned her back. So she realized that there is a wire between her and us, so we were harmless, we could not harm her, so she did not want to look at us, she turned her back towards us. She had such a woebegone, frightened face that one longed to be able to pick her up and comfort her. But she had been so deeply hurt, and this was the last thing she would have appreciated. Now, over here, woebegone means extremely looking very sad. So she had that extremely sad and frightened face, and you felt like just picking her up and comforting her, but she was so deeply hurt because of that interaction with the human being that she would not have appreciated this kind of love at all. Rather, it would have put her off. It would take us, I reckoned means calculated, roughly at least 6 months to gain her confidence, even with the example of the pro-human Pongo. Pro-human means a pro-human who loves the human beings. So he calculated roughly that it would take them at least 6 months to win over her confidence. Taking the example of Pongo, who loved the human beings. She was totally averse to human beings. The morning when we let her into the cage with Pongo was a red letter day. Red letter day means a day of special significance, but fraught with anxiety. Fraught means filled with anxiety, filled with worry. He had by now become so well established and was such a fearfully extroverted character. Extroverted means outgoing, that he obviously considered he was the only gorilla in the world and all human beings were his friends. So, so he had become very positive extrovert character and he felt that he was the only gorilla in the world and all the human beings were his friends. We did not know how he would react to Nandi's sullenness. Sullenness means the sadness and anti-human attitude. Although he is a very positive character, but they did not know how he would react to the sad and the frightened antisocial attitude of Nandi. Although for 24 hours he could see her in the cage alongside him, he had shown absolutely no interest in her presence. So they had been together for about 24 hours, but he did not show any interest in her at all. That's when the great moment of introduction came. We stood by with buckets of water, brushes, nets, and long sticks just in case the engagement party did not come off with the same romantic swing that one expects from reading the women's magazines. So, the great moment of introduction, that is between Nandi and Pongo, came, and all the people of the zoo were ready on the sides with buckets full of water and different other tools, brushes, and nets and sticks just in case they attacked each other, how they are going to separate them. If their so-called engagement party, the introduction of Nandi into Pongo's cage would be just like the engagement party before they got married. So if this engagement party did not have that romantic aspect in it, just like the what we get to read from the women's magazines, they are going to separate them with the help of the water and the brushes and the sticks. When all was ready, we opened the shutters and Nandi, looking thoroughly distrustful, sidled her way from the cage into Pongo's comparatively palatial quarters. So, when everything was ready, they opened the shutters and Nandi was led from her small cage into the palatial quarters. Palatial means impressive, like a huge palace. So, palatial quarters of Pongo. Now, naturally, Pongo was huge, so his cage was also bigger. That is why it's said to be a palatial quarters. She moved in a very distrustful manner, means very suspicious, and she sidled her way. Sidle means walked in a shy way into the cage of Pongo. There she put her back to the wall and squatted. So she just entered the cage of Pongo and she put her back to the wall and she sat down with her legs squatting, her eyes darting to and fro with a curiously suspicious and belligerent expression on her face. So she had a very hostile expression on her face. At the same time, she is very, very suspicious. Now that she was actually in the cage with Pongo, who was sitting on a branch watching her with the same expression of uninterested mistrust that he reserved from some new item of diet, we could see that she was very much smaller than he, in fact only about half his size. So finally, when Nandi was introduced into the cage, they all realized that she was very small in size compared to Pongo. Rather, she was just half about his size. And at that time, he was sitting on the branch looking at her with mistrust and also disinterest, just like he looked at any new item that was added to his diet. Before tasting it, he looked at it with a lot of suspicion. They sat steadily contemplating each other for some minutes while we on the other side of the wire did hasty checks to make sure that all our buckets of water and so on were easily accessible. So both of them, that is Nandi and Pongo, kept sitting steadily. Contemplating means thinking deeply for some minutes, while all the others, that is the people from the zoo, everybody outside the wire, outside the cage, all were making hurried checks to make sure that the buckets of water and all the other tools which they would use to separate the two apes in case they attacked each other were easily obtainable or not. I hope the story is clear till here. Thank you.